the safe way to take steroids versus the unsafe way to take steroids. This is Frank with Anabolic Outlaws AO Nutrition, and I'm just going to go over some things that might help you guys out. Okay, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've seen a lot, and I can tell you right now there are some things you want to watch out for. Number one, I get the reason why everybody wants to be on juice, okay? For the most part, you look on your social media platforms, everybody's jacked, everyone's got some dime piece hanging on their arm, everyone's rich. I get it. So if you're going to take this step to enhance yourself, you want to make sure you do it safely. Number one, stay away from trenbolone. Okay, I said it, guys. I know that is a compound that gets thrown around the internet like crazy. If people only knew the long-term effects of that stuff. It fucks your hair up, definitely. That's why my hair is thinned out. Thank God I still have it. But I can tell you right now, I would still have a thick, full head of hair if it wasn't for trenbolone. Back acne, it will eat your back up. Another one is kidney functions. I remember going into renal failure when I was taking that stuff. Back then in my 20s, I didn't care. It burns fat because it affects your thyroid. The only problem is when you come off the product, you have thyroid issues, and then now you have to be dependent on some type of a thyroid medication. You don't want to have that in your life. An alternative to trenbolone, what I'd recommend would be noradrenaline polypropionate. See, I am an advocate of people taking performance enhancers. You just got to know the right way to take them. Another good one is testosterone. All right, there's people that take a TRT that blast and cruise all year long, especially if you're over 35. I definitely recommend it. The thing I don't recommend is going over into triple digit milligrams per week, or no, quadruple digit milligrams through the week. Like when you start to go over 750, 1,000 milligrams a week of testosterone, gyno is almost 100% sure to set in. It's going to give you back acne. It's going to cause issues. And you can't stay on that type of dosage year long. So you're going to have to cycle off the compound, get into a bunch of different like anti-estrogens and things that get your natural test working again. I recommend you just do a blast and cruise. I'd keep it around, I don't know, about 400 tops, and between 400 and 250 a week, and you should be good to go. Another thing I would recommend to stay away from would be SARMs. I know a lot of people think SARMs have no side effects. Nothing could be further from the truth, okay? The reason why I stay away from them and I tell people to stay away from them is because nobody knows the long-term effects of that shit. It's not that they don't have side effects, it's that nobody knows what the side effects are. I would recommend somebody getting on something like D-bol, testosterone, Anavar, Deca. These are all drugs and medications that people have used for years. People know what the long-term effects of that stuff is. And you can get it from a legit pharmacy. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. I know it's easy to pick up the bat phone and call China, send the Western Union. I know about all that stuff, guys. The only drawback to that is, number one, it's illegal, and number two, you don't know exactly what you're getting. There's been times that we've had stuff come in 10, 15 years ago when I was in that business, and it was supposedly one thing and it looked completely different than it did the 2 weeks prior to. So there was no way of really knowing what exactly we got our hands on. The black market is ran the same way, guys. There's nothing regulating that stuff. If you get your performance enhancers from a legit pharmacy, number one, it's legal, and number two, you know it's prescribed and it's coming from a legit pharmacy, and you know you're getting exactly what it is that you've ordered, okay? Another thing that I would recommend, guys, as far as insulin and growth hormone, don't do insulin, period, while taking anabolics. That is one thing that has really hurt a lot of athletes. It does pick you up, and that was the big missing link between the guys from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s into today, was that insulin and growth hormone. Insulin, you will almost be guaranteed to turn into a type 2 diabetic over time, because your body will basically shut down its own insulin if you're injecting that insulin. And not to mention type 2 diabetes, you will also run the risk of going into diabetic shock. That's right, guys. If you miss a insulin shot, you mess that up, you can go into diabetic shock and die. Okay? Don't take insulin. Growth hormone, although it is very expensive, guys, I recommend it. It is a very good peptide that you can take. Again, it is extremely expensive, but it does burn fat. It does give you great gains if taken in moderation, just like testosterone. All right? Anavar, that's another good one you can cycle on and off. Don't think you have to take a bunch of hardcore juice in order to look and have a phenomenal physique, okay? It's not about the juice. So many people get misconstrued, thinking that it's all about how much juice they can take, or the harder the compounds, the better the gains. It's more about how good you can diet, how good you can rest, how good you can recover. Okay, that's basically how you're going to be able to get your gains. Another thing a lot of people are starting to look into now are supplements. There's a lot of pro hormones out there, guys, that give you results that are less hard on your body than a lot of these compounds that people are taking. Plus, a lot of them you can take for a longer period of time. So rather than just getting a spike of results and then going back down when you PCT, you can keep more of a flat line with your gains. Again, you're not going to get the same type of gains you'd get doing a gram a test, insulin, and tren every other day, but you're definitely going to get gains that's going to give you a look that will stand out. Because most people, it's not the amount of gear they're willing to take, it's the amount of work and discipline and effort that they're willing to go through. And that's where you're going to be able to succeed, because you'll have that mindset that you can get it done without just pumping juice in your ass. Have an awesome, awesome day, ladies.